Okay, funny story really fast. I'm working at the airport and I come back in from a plane that I was in the pit for, and I fill my pockets to try and look up when the next plane is with my phone. Turns out I didn't have my phone, and I was like, what? Where's my phone? It was totally on the plane. My phone is in Denver right now, but it's on its way back, and I'll get it tonight. So,
for some reason, I totally thought you were going to say Aslan was left in your pocket. I don't know why. I hope you get your phone back soon.
They froze. At least they froze.
The joke was too much.
It was. You overloaded them. Tanner, we just heard some pretty crazy, awesome news from Kaden.
What's going on, Kaden?
I was just telling them. I think I mentioned it to you already, but I'm in the process of buying a home.
That's right. Yeah, I do remember.
And
we're at again is, well, I guess don't tell the city or anything. But
wait, don't
out
tell.
there, we're recording. This is going online.
Oh, sorry about that. Let's just trim this
okay.
part.
Oh no, we didn't. We didn't say with the location or anything, so we're good.
That's true. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah,
Yep.
That's exciting.
And they're gone.
Ooh.
They'll be back. They always come back.
How's your guys' weekend going?
Pretty chill. It's been fun. Lexi and Bella came and visited, so that was awesome.
That is super fun. Oh, I don't know if you're invited, but we're doing something for Grandpa Hill's birthday. If you guys want to come down, I'd call Darren and see.
Ah, thank you. Yes.
all right. This little girl loves pushing buttons, and we weren't watching, and she totally got the computer power. So
That is awesome.
No worries.
Okay, we're back. We're sorry we don't have a lot of time, but we will jump right into this. We're so excited everyone's here, and take it away, Brooklyn.
Okay, so we decided instead of doing a fancy slideshow and having everyone do all of their points, we created a spreadsheet that will randomly select different points, and then we'll discuss them and then move on to a new one.
Sweet.
Okay.
And for our thousands of viewers, sorry, millions, what we're doing is Brooklyn asks everyone in advance for controversial opinions that they hold, and we're gonna find out how crazy we are today.
So
Sweet.
we'll just have you defend your statement opinion first, and then other people can share their thoughts. Whoever gets selected. Okay, here we go. All right. A dead body is nothing special. Burn it, eat it, IDK.
That's me.
Burn it, eat it.
I kind of figured that would be you, Joe.
Eat it. Oh my goodness.
Okay, long story short. So,
We still hear you.
long story short, the Elder Anderson, his last general conference, gave his talk on abortion. One of my favorite YouTubers, Thoughtful Faith, gave kind of a response video on his thoughts of abortion, and he feels like one really important and big thing in the issue is the matter of how a body is sacred. And he's like, yeah, like when a body's dead, like you need to you treat it with respect, and you're kind of like there's something special and sacred about a body, right? I totally disagree. I think a body is dust, and when you're dead, your body's a body. Like whatever, man.
But I mean,
I think we have a lot. I think we have a lot of emotional attachment and significance to bodies. Just how if your grandma dies and you have her brooch that's been passed for 3 generations, that holds significance in that way emotionally. But that's the only value I think that a body has. I don't think there's any sort of like inherent specialness or virtue around a body, if that makes sense.
So what I'm hearing is, as long as you're not the one who killed them, Joseph is pro cannibalism.
In our very first episode ever, Kaden, Tanner and I established as a fact that if either of us died, we would be willing to eat each other when we're stranded in the middle of the desert. So you're here, man. Yeah.
Wow.
I think in those extreme circumstances, I agree with you. eating cannibalism at Texas or eating like a human steak at Texas Roadhouse, I don't think I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, a human steak.
Weird me out. Yeah, I would.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
have a couple points here that we need to decide which one we're talking about. So first, there's a body is nothing special, and then there's cannibalism is okay. And
Okay.
to an extent.
So on
which
that
one?
first point,
Yeah.
the body is nothing special. I think that it is, but not as important as we say it is.
Hmm.
Because that's like the whole point we come down to this earth is to like get a body and to get experience. That's like the two main things. And so the body, obviously, it is something important, and God has deemed it as something as sacred. Now, what happens to the body after death? Then, yeah, I think that, Joe, you might be right that maybe it doesn't matter what happens.
Well,
But during life, the body is very important to keep sacred.
well, a point to tack on to what Tanner's saying is on my mission, I actually had a question about like cremation and how the church feels about that. And when I looked it up, all it had was a link leading to your body's a temple and respect your body. So
Which
I think
is new. I think in the past it was really taboo to be cremated for church members. It was like, oh no. I mean, I think just in
It's
general.
like your grave needs to be dedicated by a priesthood holder and yada yada yada.
But
Mhm.
even with the link to your body as a temple, I think that also implies what they want you to do with the body, right? So if you do cremate the body and you have the ashes, does that mean that you could never morally throw those ashes away if you decided you just didn't want them in your house anymore?
Yeah, I think I'd probably be more concerned like with even burning it, getting the cremation in the first place. So
that
if like
was
then it'd be like, whatever. I'm fine. I mean, I'm like, sure, throw me over the Sahara. That'd be cool. Nice in the sunshine all day. But no, I don't know. I think overall I am leaning more towards with Joseph that I definitely wouldn't want to just be like served up on a Texas Roadhouse platter. But I do think that as far as like when it comes down to the body itself, I don't think there's anything that should differentiate it as far as like you need to have the body in order to put it in the ground. You need to have this to do that. But it's also interesting though, as I've been learning more about like Israel, for instance, with like getting their hostages back from Hamas lately. Like half, at least the numbers that I saw, like half the hostages are dead, but they still count them as a living hostage when coming back because culturally, like the dead body is still so significant for them. Because I mean, like with Christ, right? How like you bind him up and you do all that kind of stuff. Like it's still like so important. So it's just interesting having that cultural difference. So I think I do personally fall under that idea that ultimately, once the body's dead, like throw me to the sharks, like I'll be fine.
well
Yes.
as a counterpoint, kind of going back to by being a temple, like I guess the way I would look at it is the temple any less sacred if it's abandoned? Like the Kirkland Temple was abandoned and left. Does it make it any less? Does it make it okay for other people to come in and tear it down?
I mean, they
Like-
use it as a barn.
Yeah. So I mean,
So
that's just how I view it. Like it's
'Cause it
you
can
should
be
be as
desecrated.
respectful as you can with it, even after death.
Yeah, that's true.
What a fun one to start off, y'all.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it, Rick.
well, and I think we're also kind of discussing like how important is a body to us individually, or like versus like what rights should a dead body have, or what respect should be attributed to it in like a government sense, and those are different points. But very interesting discussion, and now we will move on to another one. Okay. All right, the next one is intelligence and logic tests should be required before being allowed to be a public servant.
That was me.
I don't think this is controversial.
I mean, you'd be surprised because people don't like that being part of just like immigration, like English and history tests. They've dumbed those down and gotten rid of as many of that as they can. So I felt it was at least somewhat controversial. But I don't think just anyone should be allowed to run for a public office. Like you've got the age requirements, and that's pretty much it as far as like the government's concerned. As other than that, it's can you afford to run a campaign, and then can you get people to vote for you? I think you got to prove that you can have functioning thought and be able to, yeah, you're going to be a competent public servant rather than just can you get people to vote for you.
I am 100% with this. I heard a story that a politician was missing for like months, and they couldn't find the politician.
I think it was a Texas Democrat congresswoman who was either missing or was basically like brain dead. I think brain dead one was different though, but I think in both cases they were basically gone and voting in absentee for like months.
And they were getting paid still too.
Yes.
Wait, what does voting absentee mean again? Like they were submitting votes or they were not?
Yes, submitting votes but not being there. So that means that someone else was controlling their vote.
Okay, so someone else was doing it.
Yeah, they weren't there to listen to the committees, the discussion, the debate. They're just like, here's my vote. I'm not even going to come in to cast it.
I'm sorry, guys. I got to interrupt. My wife is awesome and brought me chips and salsa. I sent a picture of it in the chat. I am dying right now, guys. It is way too spicy.
What are you doing with ghost pepper?
I don't know. Anyway, sorry, let's continue.
I actually just tried some of this the other week.
I start breathing really hard. That's why.
Oh my god! I literally just put a little bit on the tip of my finger, tried it, and I got like hot.
Ghost peppers.
And I just took like a huge bite, and I've just been eating it, and it's only just kicked in.
For those not sure, this. Oh my goodness.
Anyway, sorry. Continue.
Generation.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Just so the Chileans can know Tanner's pain.
Yeah, so that's why. But I'm gonna keep eating it because it's really good.
Don't wipe your eyes.
Oh yeah, I didn't do that.
Okay, so as far as the test goes, I love the idea. I think we should definitely have competent people in office. And I don't think incompetent people should be in office because they're incompetent. I think what it comes down to, though, is how, where, when, and by whom will you do this testing? And I think that's where more of my concern would come in, because I feel like it would be so much easier to rig the system in a way that ultimately when it comes down to just people who just vote someone in, then I think that's the idea, right, behind being able to vote for representatives, to vote for people in. Because, oh, well, if we know that, okay, if they're just gone for 3 months and nobody knows what the heck they're doing, they're not really participating in their job as expected, then we don't vote them in the next time around. So I think it's less of a burden that we should put on those running for office. And I think more of one that we should put on people who are voting for people to get into office. Because I think we should want people to vote and we should want people to run for office. But I think that voters should be informed voters, just as I think that those running for office should be competent.
Yes,
Levi, you might like one of the other points I put in then.
I missed both of those, sorry.
Oh, I just said you might like the other point, the other opinion I submitted.
Ooh, okay, I'm excited for it too.
If we get to what that is.
I said you're right, Nephi. Only the educated should vote.
But see, that's what I mean. Like, that's what makes it difficult. It's because it's like, oh, well, if only the educated should vote. Oh, well, only the educated should run. And so I think it's just really hard, right? Because at what point then does that cross the moral boundary of efficiency versus someone's opinion having a say? You know?
Well, then maybe at that point it's not a test, and it's more of, hey, you get your voters registration once you can have signed a witness that you've like attended either like a debate between candidates or like certain functions. And once you've got those signatures, then maybe you get your voters registration.
Which could totally be there. I honestly bet you most people would probably just sign it anyways, and or there would be a decrease in voter turnout because that's just another barrier for people to vote. And I feel
I'm
like
okay with that.
Voter turnout.
I'm okay with the decrease in voter turnout.
So at the start, I was actually very opposed to the proposition for most of the reasons that Nephi said. but I have since convinced myself to the other side, I think. And I think my reasoning behind it is I think we currently do have a test. I guess in a way, I think that running and campaigning and competing against another person is a lot of, I guess you could say, different testing going on. But at least specifically for the case of the president, having a requirement of natural born citizenship and an age requirement, I feel like I don't really know how that's different. I feel like that's along the same lines. And I feel like basically my fear ultimately is kind of a slippery slope idea, kind of what you were saying, Nephi, where it's like, oh yeah, well, how's this exactly going to look, Bub? And who's exactly going to enforce it? I guess I think that there's still really strong fears, but I guess I was just like, what the heck? But yeah, don't we basically have a test right now for the president with the natural born citizen and the age, and that hasn't been a slippery slope. And so part of me wonders if it ever were in theory to get to a point to where it is being used to like en masse control who's voting or not, if it's not so much the policy itself, or if it's like if the democracy, there's so much corruption by that point, it doesn't really matter. Things are going to be messed up either way. I don't know, but
Joe, the only counterpoint, the last thing I'm going to say on this, because I'm sure you have different points you want to get to, is there's been at least one election that I know of. I think it was for Congress, a congressional district, where one of the candidates died, and he still won because people were so intent on they didn't care. They just didn't care. They would have preferred a dead guy who couldn't do anything, couldn't pass any sort of test or any eligibility, he's dead, than putting off an election or electing the only person who was left available. So there's got to be a change somewhere if that's the sort of thing that we can get to.
Well, I think the ultimate policy solution is always to put yourself in charge, Kaden. So I'll vote for you if you run.
If you do that, we are going to become a very harsh dictatorship really quickly. I should not be given any measure of leadership.
We will transition to the next topic, which is that showers are better sitting down as opposed to baths.
Ooh.
That one is mine because I love sitting down in the shower and not taking baths.
Interesting.
Right, Tanner. Way to be personal, man. I've also
Ooh.
noticed a swapping between these two cups going on. Way to check
We're
your
good.
What about milk?
Smart. Tanner, tell us, what is it about the shower that's better than a bath?
I don't know if it's super controversial, but I do have some sources to back up my claim. The CDC actually recommends showers due to constant water flow, removing more bacteria from your body. Whereas when you're sitting in the bath, you're just sitting in the grime of your own bacteria, which is disgusting. Who wants to do that?
What about when you're sitting in the shower? Then what?
You're not stewing in the stew of your own body.
That's
Like all the water is going away. It's all gone.
I'm on Tanner's side with this. I will say, as a young child, I have fallen asleep more than once sitting down in a shower.
That's so true. Same, Kaden. Bella also had a good alternative, so then you can enjoy both.
Oh, my apartment has one of those like half shower tubs things. And so my favorite thing to do is just wash off before, then I could relax in the tub for as long as I wanted. Especially after like a long final, not have to worry about loud noise. I could just like play music or a book if I wanted to and just like relax without having to worry about like noise or things like that. And then once I was done, I just stand up, rinse off from the shower, and then that was it.
So shower, bath, shower.
Yeah.
That is
That's
nice.
good.
There you go. I still think that showers just overall are the best. They're awesome. They steam up the whole place, make it feel like a sauna.
The steam is very nice. That's true. But I do love being able to just like sit in it. And okay, granted, I don't know the last time I took a bath. It's been years. But I do remember I'm thinking like a hot tub.
Mhm.
So nice to just like sit in it and relax without the noise, without the other stuff.
With hot tubs, you got chemicals like bromine, and you're shocking the spa and all that stuff.
So that's why I shower off, then bath, then shower again.
Wow. My mind is open and I feel like I need to try it.
Raise Aslan right.
As long as you keep your shower clean, that's what matters too. Because if it's nasty, then you don't want to sit down in that.
Yeah, that's true. I also love the CDC. Way to bring your resources, Tanner. Resources in.
All right, our next point is I don't believe human rights as inherent rights people just get for the sake of existing are a thing. It's all relational.
That was mine. Yeah.
Neat.
I feel
Yeah,
like-
you did a beautiful presentation on this not that long ago.
yeah, so you did chat about it a bit. So here's what y'all's thoughts are on that afterwards then. So yeah, just I don't think that just for the sake of existing, people are entitled to something.
Are you saying
Hold on. Define something.
Whether it's like a right to choose what job they want or a right to life, even. I think
To
I think
vote,
we
to
can
eat,
say-
sleep.
yeah, to vote. Yeah, like for instance, Hitler, he was alive, but I think you can ask plenty of people and they'd be more than happy to say that he doesn't deserve to live. But if he had a human right to life, isn't that not inherent to him being human, to just existing? So that's why I think that it's about relationships more. It's about that relational aspect. I do believe that children, for instance, are entitled to a mother and a father, but I think that's because of the relationship of a child-parent relationship, not just because the being of a child exists. So I
Well,
think there's more in that.
I think a lot of it can relate back to like I think you're right where everyone should have that right, or that like that everyone should be able to say, oh, that how'd you phrase
Like
Not
right to
right.
life, or
that like right to life and stuff. But if you abuse that right, you know, what you do is gonna come back to you. So like with Hitler, he chose to abuse that right by taking away other people's rights to life. And so when that happens, I feel like you should suffer the consequences for abusing what was given to you.
and I think that's I'm with Bella, and I think that's like I'm a proponent of the Second Amendment. My whole philosophy on it is I have a right to defend myself and those around me and protect myself. And if you're going to try and infringe on my right to life, then you lose your right to life. I will take your life. You've lost that right. So I think everybody does have those rights given to them just for existing, but they are revocable, like what Bella was saying.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So Nephi, are you saying that like people shouldn't ideally have these rights, or that they just don't have them?
The second, I think ideally everyone would be having access to fresh water. Everyone would have access to equitable education. I think ideally, in like a perfect world, of course, things would be roses and unicorns. But as far as in a world of scarcity and where people want to take their piece of the pie, I don't think everyone is entitled to these things just for the sake of existing.
You are saying both then. Well, okay, it's like an in between. It's because you said they shouldn't be entitled to them. So it's like ideally if we had infinite resources, but because we don't, then we shouldn't expect that we can have what's ideal.
Well, I don't think it's even that far, because even if we had all of the infinite resources in the world, or like ever, I still don't think it's a should have access to it. I don't think it's a question of should be getting this or that, because I feel like that's just entitlement. Oh, I should be getting all of these candies because I exist or something. I don't think that's how it is. I think that there's a basic nature to existence, which includes work. For instance, like the expense of energy. Like if I want to be at the top of that hill, I need to get to the top. Whether climate, flying, someone throws me out there, I don't know, right? But I don't think there's just this. What I'm trying to do is separate that idea of, well, I want to be at the top, so I'm at the top. No, there's like an in-between that's going on. And that in-between is what eliminates the entitlement, the expectation that, well, I exist, and so therefore I should have education. I should have these things. I don't think there's that should. I think in an ideal world, that's where we would want these things. But as far as like, is something like morally entitled to somebody? I don't think so, just based off of the fact that they exist.
Well, my counter to your argument, Nephi, is actually agree with what you're saying, but I think it's being defined wrong. I think what we're doing is conflating rights with privileges. Like, education hasn't always existed. I don't think you could call that a right. In an ideal world, yes, everybody should have access to education. Everybody should have access to food and water, but I don't think those are rights. You weren't born and suddenly you will have water. It's no, you're born, you have a right to life. Now go out and get water.
So at what point then does something become a privilege versus a right?
Yeah, because I just say the Spartans back in your day, you were a good, upstanding, moral citizen if you were willing to let the elders kill your baby if they deemed them unfit. You know, like that was your societal duty to help preserve the well-being of the community.
Well, now we're getting into what is moral, because I wouldn't say that's moral.
I guess I think that it is an instance of an institutionalized rejection of the idea that you're born and now you get life. Like,
Yeah, that's what that is. That's I would say, like, classic Sparta is a very good example of nobody is born with natural rights.
cool.
Interesting. Well, I think there's a lot of more aspects of this that we could discuss for a very long time.
Let's play your podcast, Nephi.
Yeah.
Go see
Link in the
that.
description below, but maybe not.
Smash
because-
that like button, hit the subscribe. Don't forget to send me
Be sure to
$50,000
follow.
on my Patreon.
yeah.
The day you get a Patreon would be a very depressing day
Let's
for your career.
who would be next?
Because you'd only get one.
Has everybody have you all gotten to talk about one?
I think so.
I think yours now, Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn, you got on one.
Ooh.
Okay, let's find a random one. Fine.
It might take a while if you're specifically
okay.
looking for yours. You can just pick one.
Okay, I'll talk about this one. You might already agree, but I think contemporary artists have to be skilled, even though their artwork doesn't have to take skill. They have to be skilled to make money from their art, but their art doesn't have to take a lot of skill. And by that, I mean that, like, in order for an artist to be acclaimed enough to where people believe their art has value, even if it has little skill, they have to first demonstrate that they have a lot of skill in doing, like, very realistic paintings and other styles of paintings. And then they can do whatever the heck they want on the canvas and probably have some interesting thoughts behind it, and then it can be worth a lot.
So I'm going to have some pushback there. Have you seen
The banana on the wall.
the banana on the wall?
That's where I was going to.
Someone did a freaking porta potty.
So take a guess for how much a banana duct taped to a wall sold for.
Like
$1
millions.
million.
6.2 million.
How
Now, the
Wow.
artist, I'm looking at
did
this
they
here.
remove that? They cut out the wall.
Marizo is a visual artist, but he's very satirical and a lot of it's comedy. Doesn't mean he's necessarily like super skilled. Like I could paint, I could tape something to the wall. I think that he though has like friends and stuff that are willing to put it in an art installation and an art thing. And so I think it's more about your network than it is about skill.
I mean, have you seen the video of the oh,
I
sorry,
think
Joseph.
maybe there was a slight miscommunication. If I understand Brooklyn right, I think she's saying basically artists show really good skill first, and then they get big, and then they make abstract art that looks silly but people care about. I think that's what she was saying.
Yeah.
So but I don't know. This banana on the wall,
But,
maybe
I
the
mean,
guy never was skilled. But if I understand right, that's
Yeah, I think what I'm understanding from both of you is that ultimately it's not about the artwork that is done. Like we can all stick a banana to a wall, but it's something that takes place before that. Whether from Tanner, it's the networking, or from Brooklyn, it's a show of skill before that. I would definitely agree that I don't think that the artwork itself is the amazing piece. I feel like when people are like, oh, but it just changes the way that you view things, like the urinal upside down or like on its side. I was like, I did not have to see the other side of the urinal, you know? Or a banana to a wall. I guess to me that doesn't have that expression. Like we agree, it sounds like, but I don't know if I would go so far as to say that they had skill beforehand. I also don't know if it goes so far as to say that it's based off of their network. I don't know. Maybe it's both. Maybe you need the skills so then you can make those connections so that they can publicize it and say, "Oh, look, this is a big deal." I don't know.
okay. I thought of some things I could say in defense, but I honestly am not a huge fan of modern art. So
Yeah, I was.
Say my thing is just getting rid of it entirely, because like just only having the artists that actually have skill, because like I see some people make things on like in like these videos, or like you go to like these museums or stuff and you see these things and they're beautiful and they're great and they're gorgeous, and yet they sell for like next to nothing. And then you go to art installations that sell for millions and millions of dollars, and it's like Tanner said, like a banana taped to a wall. Like I even have heard, I don't know if this is like completely true or if it was just an exaggeration, but like someone put this guy's paint tarp onto the wall because they thought it was part of the exhibit. Like that's how sad modern art is becoming, that it's literally just becoming, I think Tanner's right. I think a lot of it is just your network. And so if you can get a lot of people and tell them a good enough story to make them buy something, they'll buy it.
And
Like,
then
I
at a
think
certain
a lot of it
point,
is
and then I think at a certain point, like it's not even about the network, it's not about the art, it's about the name, it's the brand at that point. It's this person from this collection. It's a banana taped to a wall. Like
I
number
feel like
one.
that's actually Brooklyn's point.
Yeah.
Is she saying you establish
You establish
skill
your
first,
brand, your
and then that's
name.
what people care about?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Like the art itself people don't necessarily have to care about. I think Kaden just hit the nail on the head. At least if I understand Brooklyn correctly, that's what she's saying. She's like, people don't really care about a urinal that I put on its side. But if modern day Michelangelo puts a urinal on the side, then people are like, oh, what was he thinking?
Yeah. Which is interesting because it means that
I don't think there's value in a sideways urinal, no matter who flips it sideways, like over. But I will say that I do think it's different if a world acclaimed person does it than if I do it. Those do, for some reason, the urinal. What the urinal might be 50 cents, worth 50 cents, but for some reason I would pay 51 cents if Michelangelo put a urinal on its side. I would.
Why
is that? You're fooled, man. You're just like a fool.
Yeah,
it's like getting a signature at that point, you know? It's like, oh, cool, famous person.
Yeah, I think there's a novelty to the idea that an artistic genius did it because they had an interesting idea about it.
Doesn't mean
and for us to
like
go, oh, what is that idea? How do I get onto the level of thinking like a genius? I think there's something appealing about
genius
that.
Is a very generous
Yeah.
term.
Yeah, that's what I'm like, how can I get on the level of sticking a banana to a wall?
What was he really thinking when he did that?
You know?
I mean, it must have been worth 6.2 million. So
I bet he was thinking something along the lines of, I must save this for the banana bread.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so interesting though, yeah, because I don't know, I do understand. I think I understand that, at least in that background, that like, okay, if like someone really cool does it, then it's from their clout that, oh, well, they do that, or well, they do this, right? And I don't know, I don't think I'm a big fan of that. Like, just because my favorite celebrity does XYZ does not necessarily mean that I like XYZ anymore, or that I'd be willing to pay more.
It's not that I'm saying, but like that if you believe that this celebrity is an amazing musician then whatever they come out with, I think this is kind of like,
Sorry.
I think this is kind of like Taylor Swift stuff. Like some of her stuff might be better than others, right? But because people believe like, oh, she's such a good musician, for whatever reason they believe that because they like her art or because she's like the richest artist in the world or whatever, then when she comes out with a song, they think, oh, I should listen to this. Oh, it probably has interesting meaning. I should probably like this. I should probably listen to it a lot, even if they don't like it that much on their own, right? And it's like because they believe that she has a different vision for it, a different perspective, or like a different something that they want to gain or they want to feel that. So part of it might be like, oh, I like Taylor Swift, so I'm going to listen to whatever she makes. But the other part of it might be like, oh, if I believe Taylor Swift is like a musical genius, then there's something in this song and I have to figure out what it is. And I have to know what is it that I don't know that she knows.
So then
Yeah,
how is she only a musical genius to young white girls?
Hey, and
That's so
guys,
funny.
That's a question on culture.
No, that is just a
Well,
joke.
I think now I understand why they're called con artists, because even if they don't do art, but that comes from conning people into believing something one other way, and that's where they get the value from it.
Yeah, is art really just a con?
I think so.
I think so.
Honestly.
Yes.
Joseph wants to show a video.
Fascinating video. I think y'all would love to watch later by Windover Productions, one of the best YouTube channels. They talk about how the modern day art market is basically just the front for rich people to get tax write-offs. Fascinating.
Okay, yeah, I definitely have heard that.
Makes sense.
Or for migraine money.
Why would they?
Especially because what they can do is they can go to a charity auction their artwork off, buy their own artwork back for like $1 million more, and say, "Oh, I gave $1 million to charity."
Why is that charity? Does it go to
Well,
charity?
It goes to charity. The $1 million that they give away goes to charity, but now their painting is now worth $1 million more, so they really don't lose any money.
Whoa.
Yeah, they buy art. They buy art from themselves or from each other. Gets crazy high valuations, and then you get tax write-offs.
Well, then
And they turn it into an investment.
It's Illuminati.
Something about the counterculture too for the rich people.
True,
Like
as well.
if a rich person says, "I'm going to buy a banana taped to a wall," then they're laughing at all the poor people in a sense of saying like, "Hey, I'm making this valuable. You think it's normal, but this is going to be $1 million now, and it's nothing. It's not art, but I'm going to say it's art, and now it is." But does that kind of make sense?
Mhm.
Like they're kind of mocking the lower classes by doing that. It's interesting.
And with that note, we'll end on of being mocked as our poor people we are. But
Should we do one more?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay.
I think we have time for one more.
Okay,
before we
let's
gotta
do
go.
one more.
Yeah,
All
my
right.
laptop also said low battery, so we might drop out at some point, but no, we
Cool.
won't.
Cool.
We're
But we
excited.
should do a part 2 for sure because this has been a fun one.
This is good. Good idea, Brittany.
Bella, pick a number between 1 and 25.
20.
I think eating raw potatoes.
What?
I got a deep one. It says, "I think eating raw potatoes is yummy."
Who's that?
That is me.
Raw.
Nasty, dude.
Wow, if
Nasty.
you're just chopping up some raw potatoes, like if you're gonna throw some potatoes into a stew or something, I'd probably just snag a little one and just eat it.
Levi, I have been harassed and hazed on my views on this my whole life, and I didn't realize like, you were not only my brother through my mother, but you were my brother through starch.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's so weird
I
that
can- I
people
can- I
are
can
like
get it.
so
I
crazed
can get
about it. It's like you just
Bait.
throw
It's
it
like
in.
you just
I'm
never
gonna
thought.
freak
to
to
try
the
it.
Right,
end.
so-
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. I still try them raw anytime I cook them.
He never said
All right.
raw.
All right, look.
That reminds
Is it
me of-
nasty? No. Are there 1,000,001 better ways to eat potato? Yes.
Fair,
Okay.
fair.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way of
But I
putting
still
it.
definitely eat my green beans. I still eat my veggies. But there's 1,000,001 better things I could be eating.
But you still don't eat them raw, though, typically.
Hey, you
I eat
should
green
put
beans
this
raw.
into
I
the-
eat broccoli raw. I eat radishes
Dude.
raw. I literally pull radishes out of their dirt and just chase.
Just go do something with them, man. Like, do you need help? Do you need like we can help you, Nephi.
I think so. Stick me in
It's
the
not just Levi, I'm on this boat too.
You guys need to find a study that shows that it's healthier to eat potatoes raw. or
You just For all
it's
this raw
definitely
stuff, you
healthier
just
to
put a
eat
little bit of
potatoes raw
butter,
than
you
it
put
is
a little bit of
fried.
salt, a little bit of pepper.
Oh my goodness. That's
I
so
totally
crazy.
Googled, is it healthy to eat potatoes raw? Top result. While potatoes can be eaten raw, it's not recommended due to potential digestive issues and the presence of toxins like,
Oh, yeah. There you
like
go.
solanine and lactins.
There's a reason why caveman invented fire.
Exactly. Exactly.
There's a reason why behind this insulative covering, Nephi and I have like guts of steel. We
Go to
work at
India and drink the water. Go.
Oh
Do
man,
it.
dude, I went to South America. Been there, done that.
it.
Today in my primary class, a 6-year-old boy turns to me and he's like, I'm eating macaroons. And then he pulls a macaroni noodle out of his pocket. So crunchy.
Wow, so posh, so posh.
Mhm.
That's so cute. That is adorable. One
Okay, well,
more.
I think we have time for another.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, really fast. Okay, pick another one,
1 through
Bella.
25.
13.
Oh, already did that. Next.
Oh, next number.
18.
Yeah, let's do 18.
Well, this is a big one.
It says, I think artists, musicians, poets have a wonderful role in society, but they really are only as good as people interpret them to be. We kind of already discussed this. Yeah?
That's
A little
true.
bit.
We
Okay,
got a little bit of
another
time.
one. Let's do
5.
Finish your banana.
5. We already did that one.
Number
But, like,
one. Number one, my
the-
lord.
One.
Death penalty is acceptable.
The what?
Oh, death penalty is acceptable.
I agree.
That one was mine. I'm of the opinion, once you do something to a certain degree of heinousness, I think it's just better that you ask for forgiveness from God in person.
Mhm.
That's such an
I-
elegant way to explain the death
Man.
penalty.
Mhm. I think that we talked about this before a little bit. Joe, was it you that said that like every time we kill someone in our legal system, it costs like $1 million or something like that?
I can look it up real fast. One sec.
Because I was for it until I heard that it's costing like crazy amount of money.
Look, that's
Probably
only
because
if we use
It requires-
injections in the electric chair. I'm saying take them behind the shed, and that's all you need.
Well, I think that's including like the courts, the judges, the lawyers.
Killing part is pretty cheap.
So you're right that a lot of that you could say is our societal structure. I'm sure it's much cheaper to execute someone in China than it does in the U.S. because they execute a lot more people in China. But yeah, in the U.S., as of this article, Amnesty International, as of 2023, says that it costs 1.26 million on average. My thought, I'm actually going to say I totally agree and disagree with you, Kaden. I think, yeah, I agree that it's morally justifiable, absolutely, to execute and kill someone. I'm opposed to the death penalty because I think in practice it scares me. But like practical, the cost is one, but then since 1973, there have been 200 people who we executed in the U.S. who have later been found innocent. So that translates to 1 out of every 8 executions since the 70s.
So I understand those reservations, and this bullet would only be possible with just like a whole, hey, let's just throw all the money down the justice system and just make it infinitely better because it's so broken. But yes, I don't think this bullet would be possible without revamping pretty much the whole justice system. That doesn't mean I'm not against it.
So we're just talking about the morality of whether a government
Yes, just
be allowed
morally.
to-
Yes, that was the idea behind it, was morally.
Yeah, those are the concerns, and I'm with that 100%.
I think I would disagree. I think it goes back to people not being entitled to things, that human rights don't exist. And I think, as crazy as that may sound, I'm against the death penalty because I also think that we, as the non-killing people or whatever party that they did, I don't think we have a right to kill other people. I think that even with like
But we don't have
killing-
rights.
exactly, we don't have a right to kill them.
But you also don't have a right to life, according to what you said earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So if they don't have a right to life,
We don't have a
This-
right to
this
we
kill
don't
is
them.
have a right to kill them.
We don't have a right to kill
This,
them.
this is a podcast I've been dying Kessler to make an episode of, and he won't. But if you make it Nephi, Kessler said he'd love to join us. He just cops out and is like, "Oh, I'm too busy."
Oh, that stinker.
Those darn lawyers, man.
Yeah.
We do have to go though. So as one last final topic, this is very related to the potato. I had a topic to where I said that I think many foods are better eaten whole, like apples, potatoes, and Aslan has shown us today bananas. So I'm glad to know I got her vote.
You,
Oh,
you got her vote.
Yeah.
Nice.
Tape it to a wall.
They'll make millions.
Yeah, because now it's not just a regular banana, but it's a peeled banana.
She's
That a
an
baby
artist
has to
now.
eat.
Not a baby is. Look at that. She's building off of the layers.
This says one of a kind DNA on this banana.
The
No
beauty
kidding.
of the beholder is in the eye of the beauty of the eye of the beholder.
Right.
I think Bella just had a stroke.
Hey, you had to look at that banana tape to a wall one more time. Yeah, I will.
This was so fun, you guys.
Oh,
We-
thank you guys.
Thank you. We got to go. We definitely need to do a part 2 of this though. It was fun.
Yeah, there
No,
are
you-
points we haven't gone over.
You sign us.
so
You
we
sign
could
us
do
off,
that
love.
if we want to. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for thinking and having brains and caring about life and people and things.
Potatoes.
Yes. Thanks for being here, and I'm gonna stop the recording.
Love you all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.